Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker is said to have many different twists and turns as well as surprises in this movie by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about this film that a lot of people are really excited about is, of course, the various pieces of Jedi and Sith lore that are going to be used in this movie in order to evolve the characters of Kylo Ren and Rey in this story. That's really going to make it a very unique film and separating it from both The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens. And that's one thing about Chris Terrio, is that we do know that he did a lot of research on Legends and the Expanded Universe material, etc., that was used as inspiration for, of course, the story of Episode 9. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very exciting for Kylo Ren, the Knights of Ren, and even Snoke's master, Nile Ren. Now, specifically, a description of Kylo Ren and his Knights of Ren, where it's described that they are walking through what is described to be the shrines of the Sith, inside of the Dark Spire on an unknown world in the Outer Rim. It's described that this is where Kylo seeks the origins of the dark side and new truths of the beyond. The next goes over Kylo and the Knights discovering the ancient statue of Nile Ren, who is said to have been an ancient Sith that once trained Supreme Leader Snoke. On the back of the statue, it's said that ancient code is etched into the stone, telling the origins of the dark side of the Force. It's described that other shrines and statues in the Dark Spire tell other truths of the origins as well. Additionally, it's said that the film will explain the origin of the name Ren and give a better understanding as to why Kylo uses Ren as a last name, as well as the Knights, and that it has a deeper meaning than what fans expect, and this will all be told through the statue itself. It's said that the character of Nile Ren traveled to the beyond and never returned. So I want to go over a couple of parts about this and as to why I'm starting to believe that perhaps this character, Nile Ren, is going to be the new villain in Star Wars Episode 9 at the end of the day for two reasons. Number one is that we do know that the Beyond is going to play a large role in this movie. Now, the other thing here is that we also know that the new villain in the film has a connection to the Beyond, and that it is going to be called the Shifter, or at least dubbed the Shifter. And it does make one wonder and ask themselves, why would that villain be called that? Now, back to Nile Ren, the statue of this character placed within the Dark Spire, specifically within the Shrines of the Sith, a location that's going to be basically the equivalent of the Land of Warriors that Rey travels to in the Lost City within the Jedi ruins. So, with that being said, how this statue tells the origins of the dark side, or at least a portion of the origins of all of that, it tells us that they are using the Shrines of the Sith in a way in order to tell the story of exactly what the dark side really is and the true origin of the name Ren, and as to why Kylo calls himself Kylo Ren, as well as the Knights being the Knights of Ren. Now, we also know that Supreme Leader Snoke, he's been around for almost 1,000 years. In case you guys did not know, Andy Serkis confirmed this. He is close, the word is close, to 1,000 years old. So he's probably 800 to 900 years old, most likely around the age Yoda was when he died in, of course, Return of the Jedi. So this character Nile Ren, how the statue on the back of it has a lot of the ancient code etched into it, telling the origins of the dark side. It tells us that they are borrowing elements from the EU. We had similar things just like this, where statues were used to tell, certain origins and certain stories and stuff like that about the Sith and the Jedi, and that's being used now in this movie by JJ. So you can really see how JJ is really trying to satisfy the fans, not just with the connections to the prequels, the originals, and all the different cameos coming their way in this movie, but also incorporating a lot of the Jedi and Sith lore to really move the characters of Kylo Ren and Rey and even the Knights of Ren forward throughout the story, which I honestly think is fascinating and a step in the right direction. I think that at the end of the day, this is what Star Wars fans want. They want this deep lore of the Star Wars universe, to learn more about the Jedi and the Sith, and without a doubt, all of this lore being a part of Episode 9 in the background is going to be used as a way in order to set up the new Star Wars trilogy, because we also know that J.J. Abrams is using this film to set up the next saga as well. because this film is going to have a loose connection to the new Star Wars trilogy. After all, the one that the creators of Game of Thrones are actually working on is going to be lightly connected to the Skywalker saga in some way, shape, or form. Now, also, I'm sure without a doubt that we're going to be learning more about Snoke's master, also known as Kylo Ren, in the upcoming comic line that is actually going to have a dedicated issue to Supreme Leader Snoke for the Age of Resistance comic line, where a whole entire issue will tell new stories about the character of Snoke and new secrets and new elements of his backstory. So that's dropping this November of 2019. Ironically, we actually had something similar last year to other characters, in the forms of comics coming out just 1 month before an actual film release. So I don't think it's a coincidence that they're dropping a Snoke issue in the month of November, just before December 19th, when the movie actually releases in theaters. So with that being said, guys, what do you think about all this below in the comments? And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. No, I'm not the one from night to moon.